Well, hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to the channel. It's Chris here from JMNC Games, and today we are taking a look at the 2 to 9 player game Bristol 1350, traveling back in time to the days of the plague. It's for ages 13 and up, and the average game time is just about 20 to 40 minutes. If you haven't already done so, take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. We greatly do appreciate that, and it sure does help us grow. And if you feel so inclined, if the videos helped you in any way, you can always support the channel directly by visiting the application Buy Me a Coffee. Now let's dive in and take a look at what's inside the box. There are the character cards, 6 dice, 3 carts, 9 pawns, 32 symptom cards, 27 remedy cards, 1 pouch, and the map. In this game, the town of Bristol is overrun by the plague. Your objective is to get out of the city without contracting the plague, but if you do, there's no escaping death for you. However, your objective changes, and you want to make sure that none of the healthy players win. Do this by making sure that each cart that leaves the city has someone with the plague on board or no passengers at all. To set up, place the map in the center of the playing area and place the carts at the start. Have each player choose a character card and collect the corresponding pawn for that player. Place those pawns into the pouch and pull one out at a time, placing them into the carts according to this chart in the book. For example, in a 4-player game, the first one out will go into the white cart, which is known as birch, then into the orange, known as cedar, and the brown, known as oak. The 4th player goes into the white, but behind the first player. Your character card has 2 sides. One side is the standard, and the other is for special abilities of the character. If you're just learning, best to play the standard side, which we'll do for the purpose of explaining the game. Take the symptom deck and go through it to find all of the number 4s. Remove them. Shuffle the rest of the cards and deal 2 to each player face down. If anyone has been dealt 2 3s, they should show the cards to the group and be given 2 new cards. Return the 3s to the deck, and once everyone has 2 cards which have a total of 5 or less, take the 4s and shuffle them into the remaining cards. Place the deck face down here. Shuffle the remedy cards. Look at the same chart to see how many of each should be dealt to each player based on how many people are playing the game. Once complete, place the deck face down here. At the start of each round, the starting player rolls all 6 dice for the group. This is the group roll. The starting player is the person who is in the front of the cart whose cart is in the lead on the map. However, at the start of the game, the player in front of the birch cart will be the starting player. Once the starting player has done the group roll, each player will now take a turn starting with the starting player and go clockwise around the table. On your turn, you perform one of the following actions. You can re-roll any of the 2 dice. If a player chooses this option, they choose 2 of the 6 dice to re-roll. The results of the dice at the end of the round will affect how many players maybe come into contact with the plague, but we'll go over more of that in just a moment. You can draw 1 remedy card. These cards will allow you to perform special actions on future turns. If you choose this option, collect a card and keep it with you. You can have up to 3 remedy cards in your hand. You can move your pawn. If you are in the back or the middle of your cart, you can elbow your way to the front of the cart and slide the other pawns back behind you. If you are in the front of your cart, then you can dash to the cart in front of you. taking up space in the back of that cart. The pawns in your cart that you are leaving behind move up. If the cart in front of you is full, you swap places with the person at the back of the cart. However, they are sent to the back of the cart that you just left behind. There can only be 3 pawns in a cart. If someone is sitting behind you, either 1 or 2 spaces, you can push them off of your cart. You can also choose to push yourself off of the cart. When someone is pushed off the cart, they fall back to the first available space in a cart behind them. If you are in the front cart and are pushed and there's no room in the next cart, then you would fall all the way back to the last cart. If you were pushed off the last cart, or there was no room in the back cart, then you have been left behind in the city and are out of the game. However, if this does happen to you and you do not have the plague, then you reveal to the others that you were wrongfully left behind. The person who pushed you off dies of shame, and both of you are out of the game. Now, how do you know if you have the plague? If your 2 symptom cards ever add up to 6 or more, congratulations, you have the plague. You are not to reveal this to others unless you leave the town or have been eliminated from the game. Even if you are able to exchange your symptom cards for lower values, once you have the plague, you always have the plague. Once all players have taken their turns, it's now time to move the carts. The carts move based on the number of dice showing the same color, regardless if they are rats or apples. So if there were a total of 3 brown dice, then the oak cart would move 3 spaces at the end of that round, and so on. If 2 carts happen to end on the same space, whichever cart started that round ahead would get nudged 1 space forward. Now, whoever is at the front of the lead cart is now the first player, and the next round can continue. Now let's talk about the mingles. The mingles happen based on how many rats are shown for each colored dice at the end of a round. So when you reach the end of a round, before you move the carts, if any color has 2 or more rats, then that color must do a mingle. All people in that cart turn in together their symptom cards. 1 random symptom card is added to the pile. The cards are shuffled. Deal 2 cards to the players of that cart. Place the leftover card here. If, on future turns, the same cart has to mingle again, collect the player cards, add 1 from the deck, and the rest of the leftover cards. Shuffle, deal 2, and then again place the remaining here. Even if there is only 1 player in a cart, if there are 2 rats or more for that cart, then the player must mingle. Remedies are played after and in addition to your regular action, with the exception of the whip. Each remedy has 2 options. When you play one and take its action, the card is discarded afterwards. When a cart crosses the finish line, if all players on board are healthy, the game is over and those players are the winner. However, if either player has the plague, then neither player is the winner, and the game continues until the next cart crosses the line, and so on. If a cart crosses with all healthy players, they win. If after the last cart crosses and no one has made it out healthy, or an empty cart crosses the line, then anyone who had the plague is the winner of the game. These are the basics of the game. There are some minor adjustments to games with 3 players or less, which can be found here. And of course, you can always add in using your special ability of your character to make the game more challenging. And that is how you play Bristol 1350. Thanks for joining us today. We sure hope you enjoyed our explanation on Bristol. If you feel so inclined, give us a like and subscribe. We greatly do appreciate that, and it sure does help us grow. Well, now we know the basics, so let's play.